G'day folks. Well, in the last video I spoke about these difficult decisions that the Germans were faced with. It was either try to pocket these Russian units here or capture Minsk, try to drive on Minsk, or try to pocket the whole area. And I didn't feel that they could do both. Well, they've decided to kind of do all three in a way. We've brought motorised divisions in from the north and south to pocket these forces. That's been successful. You can see here this is the 20th motorised up here, 10th motorised down here, 18th motorised down here. They're containing this pocket of Russian forces and forcing them out of supply. It's difficult maneuvers through here. The Russians have tried to counterattack and failed and been repulsed, and all these guys are moving very slowly now. Meanwhile, in the south, this southern group has continued. We've got two Panzer divisions in particular, the 10th and the 3rd. And taking advice from a few experts, I've decided just to continue driving towards Bobrushk over here. They are driving along that road, trying to clear that road. Russian cavalry has cut it briefly, but they won't last long. They'll be overrun, most likely. And that road will be clear. So they're driving. They're beyond that road to Minsk up here, and they're driving east towards Barbarossa, trying to get across that river. And this is after, keep in mind, the Russian response. So there's a little engineering unit here. Ooh, that's a pretty horrific place to overrun. Marsh, woods, and across the river. But anyway, that's the way we're heading. We might look for an alternate route up through here or something. Or actually, we can come around and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half, 6. Yeah, we could maybe reach Bobrushk after the exploitation phase, if we can push through. Anyway, there's the options. We're driving towards Bobrushk. It is currently very lightly defended. But in the centre, you can see all these units here. These are just two of our strongest, in fact, Panzer divisions, the 19th and the 7th. And I decided just to hit these Russian defences head on. There were kind of two hexes, I think they were here and here, pretty strongly defended. But by concentrating a lot of the forces in that area, we forced them back, wiped a lot out, and exploited towards Minsk. We're now on the outskirts of Minsk. And because of this move, I mean, these Russians were here in the north, down here in the south. They have not been able to get in and reinforce Minsk. They've abandoned their fortified lines and are now trying to pull back as much as possible. Again, it is difficult terrain, and the Germans have gotten a very good position around Minsk to make it difficult for the Russians to get themselves out of here. There's wooded terrain down here. They're holding these bridges across the Petye River. And yeah, basically the Soviets are being forced to pull away from Minsk because they can't actually get into the city hex itself. So a very good move. Combat went perfectly for the Germans here. And elsewhere, we've got way up in the north, the 20th Panzer Division driving north to reach, I think it's Vitebsk, up there in the far northeast. I'm not sure exactly what they're planning here. It's a bit of an... Actually, what I was thinking is they would cut around to the east now and come down this primary road. That's what I was thinking at the time. We'll see if that's still viable. We can continue driving up as well. Supplies are going to be a big issue for that division up there. And again, Soviets have cut their supplies. They've come down and trying to interrupt with that. The bad news for the Germans was they've had 4 turns of brilliant overruns. The story has been 4 turns of low rolls and overruns, bad rolls in combat. This turn, it was good rolls in combat, horrific rolls in overruns. Repulsed pretty much everywhere, which means that the Soviets still hold Baranovichy very lightly. Where else were they? Repulsed up here. There's a lot of places basically where those overruns failed. I think there were 3 failed overruns during the course of this turn. The defense, the Bialystok has virtually fallen. There are no defenders left there, but the Axis haven't been able to move in yet, which means that, and there's been a few surrenders as well this turn. So I will say the bulk of the Axis infantry is around Bialystok, way out in the west, out here, and a long way from Minsk where they need to be. We do have a handful of divisions. You can see these guys have been rushing down these roads. They're getting close. I'd say they're at least a turn or two away from Minsk. It doesn't matter because Axis forces are going to capture Minsk this turn anyway. They've got a far superior force here. And yeah, they'll be able to move on. Limiting their advance again are supplies. Here's the limit of the road network. So 7 hexes from here doesn't give you much, doesn't reach Minsk, but we can drive our mobile supply units down this road and into Minsk along here. So we're really relying on that that supply network to keep those panzer divisions in supply. Relying on those mobile supply units to keep those panzers in supply. Down in the Pripyat marshes, you can see at the bottom of the screen here, the Soviets beginning to move up through the marshes. Someone said the Germans need to watch those marshes because the Soviets will pop out. And they've got a zone of control here, which is, again, interrupting supply. So this cavalry unit will need to be cleaned out. There's another strong infantry division. It's a reconnaissance, of course. This infantry division moving up to intercept as well. So we'll have to divert some forces. This is where, we do have a German infantry division in the area which can help with that. Pockets of isolated Russians here, and further out west there's a few more out to the west. The biggest issue, again, for the Germans is supplies. We're extending beyond our road network. These guys will be on emergency supply next turn. And that's going to slow everything down. This is not going to be expanding. It's not going to be moving very rapidly. Maybe 2 hexes next turn, maybe 4 hexes a turn after. So supplies are just going to be slowly pushing. And then it's just, I think the Panzer divisions are going to have to stop somewhere around Barbarossa. I'll show you where that is, just over here in green. Not far from it, but it's going to take, I think, 3 or 4 turns for supplies to be able to catch up and actually reach that point. Even longer, perhaps, because the rail line, I'll show you the rail line through Badanovici, it comes up, so it's going to be sort of 1 turn, 2 turns, 3 or 4 turns away before it relinks on this road and extends that supply link here by that many hexes to maybe just reach the outskirts of Barbarossa. So that's, again, relying on those mobile supply units to supply these divisions, but that can only do so much. I haven't been very proficient at getting those mobile supply. It may look good in some places, but I haven't had the best planning of those mobile supply units. So what I suspect is going to happen is, yes, the Germans will capture Minsk. They might capture Barbarossa, or at least reach the outskirts. But then things are really going to slow down because they will be out of supply. It impacts, unless I can get the mobile supply units up. Yeah, tough going. And of course, they were using a lot. There was a lot of combat this turn, and we used a lot of supply units to fuel that combat. Combat. There was combat down here. Combat in the center, and I don't necessarily need it. There was combat out in Bialystok. Didn't need to. I was just trying to there was a couple of little battles here and there to force the Soviets away from key crossings and the like. So yes, that is the situation. So I've cut off these. I've pocketed the armor. I've driven towards Minsk to capture it by the end of turn 5, which is the coming turn. I'm at the kind of end of turn 4, start of turn 5 now, and I'm maneuvering to try to pocket. I mean, I could sort of suddenly drive north and pocket some of these Soviets here. These are all it's kind of scattered formations. Getting all these armor divisions here was critical. They're quite powerful. I think I mentioned 3 or 4 Soviet tank divisions, which I think they're going to struggle to get out of here, especially now that this was the Russian front line. They're now pulling away from Minsk, so they've got even further to go. I suspect the Soviets will try to reform a line around the Barbarossa River here, along here, Babrushk, which flows through there. It's probably going to be the next solid place to defend. If they can form a line along here, that might help a little bit in the south. It's interesting. We're kind of reaching the next phase. We've broken through to Minsk. Minsk will fall. I need to kind of pause and think about what next. There's a highway to Moscow. Do we take that? Smolensk. And then the Dnieper. I mean, if I just shift across a little bit, there's the Dnieper right on the edge of the plexiglass running along there. So yes, difficult decisions ahead. That's the situation. I will report back soon. Thanks, folks. Take care.